guys? Welcome to the LTD Podcast. We've got a killer crew today. We've got the CEO, we got Dispo, we got acquisitions, and then we got me. So we're going to be talking about some fun stuff today. So this is kind of like somewhat of the OG crew. Jonathan came on pretty early before we really started growing like crazy.
Mm-hmm. This is the first one, so let's introduce everybody too. So,
yeah.
Yes. All right. So my name is Dakota Bailey, CEO over here at LTD Property Group.
Jonathan Combs. What am I doing? Today I'm doing marketing. Sometimes I do dispo, sometimes I do other things.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Andrew Etchison, do acquisitions at LTD Property Group.
And then Christian Mosley, PR. There we go. So, yeah, one of the first questions I want to talk about is, like, the biggest difference you guys have seen from when you guys first started here to where we are now. Because, dude, there is a major jump in how things are. Whoever wants to...
Let's have Johnny Boy start off and talk about when you started too.
Yeah. So essentially, I started there's the classic like exponential growth curve where it's like kind of not literally flat, but then you just really start to have the uptrend. I think I came on right as the uptrend was really starting to kick in because for the first several years, I mean, I've known this guy, and maybe I've known you for several years now. And for a while, it was just like, it was these two and then like maybe a couple other people, and that was in him. And like, we were rocking that for a long time. And I came on right about when I think I might have been, I don't know the exact numbers, maybe like the 7th hire or the 8th hire, something of that nature. Still a pretty small team in a different office. And yeah, I came in at a time where I think that it was, I'm trying to remember. I actually have to think now.
Dude, let's talk about how you came in too, and then we could talk about it. But do you remember coming by the office and then you're like, I just want to shadow you? Talk about that too, bro.
That's a good question. I would actually be curious of your perspective on it, because for me, basically, just for my story, I have spent a lot of time just kind of like going from place to place. I've lived in several different places. I've worked many, many different jobs. You know, I've moved basically every year for a long time. So at the time, which I'm actually thinking of like trying to get back to that mindset, I was just very much bouncing from thing to thing to thing and maybe searching for something. I don't really know. And so I don't even know how it happened, because basically I didn't really have a job. I had a job for a while. Like I was working with a friend who was a realtor for a while, and then I was working with some other friends who were doing real estate stuff like wholesaling, but that ended up kind of just falling flat when things got really hard in 2022-ish. And so for me, I was kind of like just out there. Like I can't say that I had like a purpose and a vision. I was just sort of like, I'm just living my life, really like trying to find people that I fit in with and that I want to be like and all that sort of stuff. And so I think I probably just had a certain level of admiration for LTD. So like for you and for you guys and the work that you were doing. And I don't remember having any specific thought other than just like, I think at that time I was really just like going for stuff. So like, and that was on the back of there's a self-development event that I just went to, and then I just threw myself into it. Like I literally just went to all 3 of the levels of the event within back to back to back. So I was just in that mindset of like, just throw myself into opportunities, say yes to everything. And so I've learned a lot since then, because, saying yes to everything doesn't always work. And so I'm actually working very diligently to learn how to say no now. But at the time, I was just very much saying yes. And so when I first came into LTD, I don't even think there was an opportunity necessarily, like a specific one. There wasn't like, hey, here's a job, or hey, here's a specific thing to do. It was literally just, he probably remembers better than I do, but it was literally just like, hey, I just want to like be here and shadow you guys. And I don't even remember why. Like I was just like, I probably thought you guys were cool because I did, and I do. So I think that's what my motivation was. And I don't even remember what I did. I think I just talked to people, and maybe I tried to help out. Like I really don't remember exactly what I did.
You just kept showing up, taking notes, and then listening. And then I think when you actually got hired, if I remember right, it was when we hired Justin, because you did not care what position you were. You're just like, I just wanted in the company, bro. And so then we're like, well, we got a project manager, and then we had you and Justin Arnold, and then we're like, well, honestly, Justin seems like he's more qualified, but we like Jonathan's freaking tenacity. Like, bro, he's been shadowing us. He's been showing up at the office before he ever even got hired in. And just like, you know what, dude, like, we're not exactly sure what you're going to do, but we're going to get you in. So I remember when you first started, we're like, hey, we're going to pay not a whole lot because honestly, this is just like, let's get you in the door so we don't lose you as a person. And that was, they were like, dude, we know we want Johnny. We don't know where we want Johnny, but we know we want Johnny. So let's pay him like a retainer fee to kind of keep him on that, like, whenever we need him. And then we needed you.
I think the big blessing was, because I think the way it worked was I had originally expressed my desire to be a part of the company, and this was like maybe towards the middle of the year. And at that time, there wasn't really anything secure, so it was sort of like, I think your attitude was basically like, hey, I want to bring you on, but like at this exact moment, this was like, again, earlier in the year, you were like, I don't really have anything.
This was 2022? Or 2023?
Yeah,
probably 23.
Yeah. And so, because I think maybe in like July is when I was shadowing or something. And so at that time, but then maybe 3 months later, that's when the project management position opened up. And that's when you were sort of like, hey, like, let's see about this. And so it was cool because I was actually working for another company, like taking pictures and stuff. And I'm super grateful for that. And I don't know, I guess the one thing I just want to express is I'm just so grateful for everyone along the way because I have a lot of friends here in Fort Wayne who have just like I've worked with and worked for and like just always people have just opened up a lot of doors for me. And so even what you're saying here of like, hey, we don't know what we want you to do, but we just want you in here. I'm super grateful for that. And so, so that was just kind of it. And I think I interviewed for the project manager position, but then, Justin was definitely more qualified. And so I think what was the blessing that I received was the fact that Ryan was, I mean, he's always swamped somehow, but like he was super swamped at the time because he was in a totally different position. He was doing transaction coordination stuff along with probably a million other things.
Yep.
And so I kind of took stuff off of his plate and then just very, very thankfully, like, wow, things have evolved and grown. And I don't often stop to think about it, but like, I mean, I wish that this camera could see everything that we're surrounded by now. Like we're in the basement of this really sick building that has been completely transformed.
Why don't we just turn around? I'll show you guys.
Give a little tour ski.
Yeah, see if we can show you guys real quick. So this is Cody's area. That's the stairs.
Just give you a glimpse.
That's our view.
That's just a glimpse. Yeah. We got these giant glass, like floor to ceiling glass, and that's just the basement. Like we redid the upstairs first, and it looks gorgeous now. And then now this basement, there's a cold plunge, a sauna, a gym, beautiful big glass doors. Like it's crazy.
We can drop some B-roll.
Dude, let's go.
That might be easier.
That might be a little bit easier.
I was thinking of someone while you were talking to. It was me, Dakota. I think Luis was with us. I can't remember, but we went to WealthCon. And you were up there and everything.
Wait, that was like way before.
Yeah,
wow.
and I just remember I just remember Dakota. I just remember Dakota like looking back at Luis or whatever, and he's like, dude, we'd hire Johnny so much quicker before than like you.
Meanwhile,
and then Luis came on like beforehand, and then Johnny came after. So I thought that was so funny.
Dude,
it's funny how you both are
on
here
the
now.
escalator. Luis was so upset, and I was like, I felt bad because I've never seen Luis get upset because like usually you can say something and it just like he brushes it off, and I'm like, oh shoot, I actually made him upset. He's like, no, I want to know why you wouldn't. Like seriously, and I'm like, oh man. But then obviously we brought him on, and he's a killer, bro. I mean, he's been good. He's just he's got his faults. I guess we all do, right?
He's funny.
Yeah,
he's funny is what we'll say.
He's such a likable guy that he's hard to get mad at too.
Yeah.
I love Luis.
He's like messes up, and he's like, yeah, I'm sorry. You gonna do anything differently next time? He's like, probably not, but
he owns it.
I'll probably keep doing it.
Yeah.
He's the best.
But so I'm thinking back when you started, 2023, middle of the year. I'm trying to think of who was there. So we had
towards the end. It was,
Cody.
It was Cody.
Cody was there. Yep.
Cody,
Christian was in the front.
Andrew.
Yep.
Luis.
I think Jacob might have been there. Miles might have been there. I don't
Really?
remember. I get it mixed up.
Yeah, interns.
I don't know if I was there during.
Raylene.
Raylene was definitely there. Justin
Tony,
was coming on.
kind
Tony
of.
was kind of in, and then
Tony was not. Well,
He wasn't there,
Yeah, but
like,
he was there,
in.
you know?
Yeah, he was in, but he wasn't there.
who else?
J-Ball wasn't there yet.
really.
Kier wasn't.
You were hired before JJ, huh?
Oh yeah,
Was I?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was around the same time.
I get it mixed
time.
up because I was there so often when I wasn't working with you guys. So I'm like, was
It was
this-
around.
Yeah, because
the same time.
JJ's been here. I thought just over a year,
He's been here for.
and you've been
A
here
little?
a year and a
I
half.
thought-
right?
It's
JJ came
getting
back
close
in.
to 2 years.
JJ came in around like I think August to October of 2023.
What? It's almost been 2
so he was a
years.
little bit before me, yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
I remember when we were at Clinton, and we shared with MAH.
Yes.
I would talk to Jonathan so much that I thought he was working with us for some reason.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you came in the one day. You're like, does Johnny work for us? Or like, we were like, no. We're saying he's like, and you're like, oh, I've been talking to him the whole time.
Dude, we did a lot of deals with MAH though. Like honestly, like that's the coolest part that I talked about competition. That's what I mean is like a competition. We could be in competition and raise both people by making each other better. And like Luis, I mean, the way that me and him got hooked up was he kept coming to me to show him how to close these deals. So he's like, dude, I got a tough one. And it was this guy on Clinton. And I negotiated with this old man who was like super difficult to negotiate with. He's a business owner. He owned a bunch of commercial properties and stuff. And I talked to him, got him down. And like, he just kept trying to get off the phone, I'm like, so if we could do 150, can we make it work? He's like, yep, wholesale, we made 10 grand. Luis couldn't close it because the guy was super difficult. And so I was like, all right, that was how me and Luis got hooked up, and then like he learned how to close, and then now he works with us. Like it's like crazy.
Yeah. I would say I feel like at the beginning when we were working with MH and other stuff like that, like Luis was like learning a lot from you, or like we were like you poured in a lot to. I mean, it was really Luis that was the only one really coming, none of the other guys, but Luis was always coming, wanting to get better, and he had that growth mindset for sure all throughout that process. Like he wanted to learn. And we would be there late and you'd be teaching him, and he'd even like, he started then opening up more about like asking you stuff about life then and getting advice there. And like, he really just transformed himself.
Yeah. Luis has always had a lot more humility, I feel like, than, I mean, Seth has got a lot too. Nick's a good dude. He's a hard worker, but I remember, that reminds me. I remember when Nick came in and they were trying to get us to hire Nick because that's like, hey, we don't have room for this guy. Do you guys want to hire Nick? I'm like, dude, we don't need another acquisitions guy. I'm like, we can't take another one on. And then Nick ended up working with them. But Nick never really tried to learn at all. Like he was never like, let me go. Like he's like, nah. He was just dialing, bro.
Yeah, he was learning by fire.
Yeah, he was just
throw myself into.
Yeah, he was just dialing.
Just pure volume, which I respect that because like, dude, just to have the consistency to just like
100%.
Yeah. I remember back like when things were tough when I was working with them. Like he was like 100 calls a day every single day. Like just absolute brute force, which it takes a lot of like willpower to just continually show up when things are hard and tough. So like that's just.
I think it was cool too, just in that transition, just because like I feel like you were obviously at MH, Luis was at MAH. I mean, even Seth kind of helped us with some stuff like future sense, and I just feel like we set a good example, or like we've always done what we said we were going to do. And I feel like just from if I was over at MAH and then I was seeing that, like it would have gave me good faith to if when that did kind of all crumble and stuff like that, to be able to like go to like LTD or go to like Dakota or somebody there and like talk about actually everything and express it. So I think too, just my viewpoint of it all was just like you guys were learning so much more from us in there and able to take that. But then after the fact, MAH kind of crumbled with what we were learning and doing together in there. Like you guys were still able to take after that, and then it kind of led you guys. Got led here,
and they're not all the way crumbled.
No, not crumbled, but like they've like downsized a bunch.
Yeah, and I just want to like because I love every single person that I've honestly ever worked with, and just to be very genuine about like Middle America Homes, like. I think it was just like the right people in the wrong bus, because what I've found is that each person who was on that bus is so much themselves.
They're talented
and we so much talent, so much even drive. Like, dude, like every single person, even like just every single person I work with there had their own like they were themselves, and so we were trying to make this thing work together, and we all tried very valiantly, but it just didn't work out. And I think it's just like. It's just okay, because now I truly believe that it's like it all happened exactly as it needed to. And like now each person that I see individually, so Nick, Seth, all these people, it's like I see them going down their own paths, which I think is like, I definitely have a nostalgia for like when times were good and all that stuff. But I think at the end of the day, like I think the right thing happened. And so each person is now basically free to be themselves and pursue their path and create their own thing, which I think is the way it needed to be. And so, we had our time together, and it's like any good relationship. Sure, even the best relationships do come to an end, and that's hard. But like I think every person was giving their all in that situation and showing up the best they could. And so I want to vouch for every single person there because like they're all so awesome. And I hope they all have the massive success that I know that they can all have too. So
yeah, let's go back then.
I was gonna say just to get back on.
Yeah, let's go back to Mr. Well, you want to go, Christian? Because then we can go back to like we go.
Sure.
All right, Johnny was.
We can go in order.
Then we go you. Then we go you. And then obviously.
Yeah, we can talk about like our how we got hired too. Because mine was funny. I was graduating college and I was like, it just dawned upon me. I was like, oh, I don't have a job lined up for the summer, man. I was like, so I texted my mom. I was like, I don't know if you know anyone looking. I'll do it for the summer. Like I'll work for them for the summer and then I'll find something after that. And then she posted something on Facebook and then Dakota. I was in class and Dakota, I think you called me or I called you. I can't quite remember. But I left the classroom and you're like, hey man, yeah, we'd love to have you on the team. Like you could do acquisitions, you could do whatever. You could help with Ryan. We would just like to have you on the team. I was like, sure. I don't really know anything about it, but I'm in. And then and then I came in for like a little interview and I dressed up way too like I didn't know how casual it was, so I like wore the craziest like.
It shows your gumption.
Yeah. And then I was hired after that, and I really didn't even know what I was going to be doing or anything, but. Just to talk about how different it was, for me, it's the setting. Like when we were at the old office, we were all crammed on one side. There were so many people in this small building. I sat across from Ryan for so long, and then Cody was
right next to you.
Right next to me, 20 feet away, not even 20, probably 10 feet away, right by the fridge and in the kitchen. And dude, I just felt like we were, not that we're not tight anymore, but dude, you could not go a day without talking to everyone.
Yeah, because
like,
you're right there.
Now because I'm up in my office all day, like I feel like I don't talk to everyone as much, but it's so different. Like just how much we were talking to each other, playing ping pong.
We should dive into that after we kind of go through like everyone's journey, if we remember to. Like I want us to talk about how we're gonna keep ourselves together.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think it'd be valuable for everyone listening. Like how are we keeping ourselves like tight knit as we expand to like 100% heights. So anyways.
Yeah, no, you're good. And then another thing is like back then I feel like we didn't quite have the systems. We just we did it. We were just doing whatever. Yes, we had one spreadsheet, I think. we
I remember the itty bitty deals in the pipeline. I remember seeing it in like 2022. It was just like you had like 12 deals. You all were stressed out when you had like 25 deals in the pipeline.
We worked off that one spreadsheet and oh man, there's just some funny stories. So I could get into them, but I won't. So
who was there when you were there with them? Because it was not very many.
No, when I was hired, it was you, Tony, Andrew, and Ryan, and kind of just into.
Was Cody there?
No, Cody was like almost a year after me.
That's crazy, dude.
That's crazy.
Just Christian at the beginning was kind of just like cleaning around the office, like
I would just kind of do whatever,
trash and doing all that stuff, and then we had Ryan doing TC.
And then he was doing paying bills and
Yep. Just kind of doing whatever.
Dude, I remember, I would say, like, what's interesting, too, is I wish that people could see the way that your guys' demeanors were whenever you first started and, like, the power of being around other people who are different than you. Because, I mean, even Ryan, dude, like, Ryan's changed a lot, too. I mean, honestly, what's interesting, too, that I think about is I've been forced to change myself. And so, like, I'm kind of more of a person that will change based on what's needed as well. And especially if I'm in a leadership role, I feel even more responsibility to change. But I feel like you guys all change so much based on just being around in the environment. But most people, I started off, my assertive level was probably like a 7 out of 10, like my entire life. I feel like I've gotten to like a 9 out of 10 now. Like I'm pretty assertive, which I think is very helpful. But I think that it also like pushes you guys to be a lot more like that. So your confidence and assertiveness has gone up. You're still probably like a 4, but you start off at like a 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah. On assertiveness?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah.
That works for me.
Yeah, you need like I would say like 8 or 9 is like in my opinion, very healthy because there's a difference between assertiveness and aggressiveness. Assertiveness is very clearly articulating what you would like the outcome to be and what you would want to happen. And the people who succeed in life, you have to be assertive because life is not going to give you what you want. It's going to give you what you fight for. And so if you're not willing to fight for what you want, I promise you won't get it. If you're not willing to ask for what you want, you will not get it. So you have to be a little bit assertive to really get what you want.
And the thing that underpins that is knowing what you want. So I think that might have been part of it too. Like because now, especially with you having a child, like it seems like you probably have a much clearer vision of like what you want.
Definitely.
You want to have safety and security and like growth for your family. So like now, as you're showing up with more assertiveness, it's based in like, oh, I actually know what I want now. Like I have much more clarity of what I
100%.
want, which allows you to be assertive on top of that to get it.
No, yeah, it is funny thinking back to like who I was when I started. I'm like, man, I was such a wimp.
I was scared to talk to you for the longest time. I was like, dude, I don't know how to talk to Christian.
Dude.
You know, whatever. And it's just like, it's so different now because I feel like we're closer than we ever have been in the company just from other stuff. But no, you definitely changed a ton.
Oh, it definitely helps being around you guys because, I thought, I don't know.
You would have not set up all this.
What did you think?
No, I just thought I had a whole different perspective on humility. Like, I remember when we played like ping pong, I was like, oh, bro, I suck. Just to kind of like act like, the humility. And you're like, bro, that's not humility. Like, you don't need to put yourself like down to. Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, okay. So definitely like more of the, not self-love, but more of the confidence I've built 100% while being here, being around you guys. So.
What is humility now? Let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah, that's a good thing about.
Humility to me is caring for other people more than yourself. Or not caring, but like being willing to do things for other people and put them first rather than yourself. You can put yourself first in other circumstances, but being willing to do other things for other people, I think, requires humility. Also, same with, we talked about it earlier, but just having a level of accountability as well. If you can take accountability for your actions, I think that's pretty humble too.
Yeah, I think humility is such an interesting thing because a lot of times humility gets skewed with honesty. And so like, are you honestly not good at ping pong? No freaking way. Because if you actually like compare yourself, which is the only way to calculate how good you are at something is comparing it to what you are compared to everybody else on the scale, you'd actually be considered good. And so you're now lying to yourself based on trying to be something that you would like to be. And so what I see is people like, when they want to be humble, like they say things that's not necessarily true or what they actually believe in order to be humble, when really I think that they're neglecting the truth. So if I said, man, like I'm good looking, that's based on like, people be like, dude, you're so egotistical, you're this, you're that. It's like, no, I've been told that, and like it's okay to be like happy with the way that you look based on what your experience is and stuff. But most people are like, no, you shouldn't even be happy about that unless you're overweight and you're fat and all this other stuff. And then people are like, you should love your body and this. But if you're a good looking male with a freaking six pack, now if you like yourself, you're considered egotistical. So, but they will stress the truth because of the way that it makes people feel. So humility is such an interesting thing, but I think that you are correct in the sense that it doesn't mean that I'm better than anybody else. That's where it comes down to it. It's like, because I'm good looking does not mean that I'm now better than you. That has nothing to do with value or worthiness or anything. You are just as valuable as anybody else. It doesn't matter race, looks, skin color. It just doesn't matter. And so that to me is a lot of humility as well, as treating people the same regardless of position, where they're at, what they can do for you. But again, I just don't want to ever discount your abilities to do something based on trying to be humble, because I think that it does actually hurt everybody else around you. And that's one last thing that I want to point on is I was talking to my sister about it actually, and she's like, she's got 5 kids, and it's like a lot. I mean, that's a lot of kids, and she adopted all of them, and they came from traumatic backgrounds and stuff. That's and so, awesome. She's got a lot going on in her life. And so she's like, she's so focused on always taking care of them that now she doesn't even ever take care of herself. And so that's an interesting thing because she's being humble, right? But if you don't take time for yourself, well, now she's going to get more agitated with them because she doesn't have a break, because she didn't take care of herself, because she doesn't have time to take care of herself. So if she really wanted to serve them better, the best that she could, and give them her best self, she has to take care of herself. And so that's a reframe that I gave her was, hey, go take a break for 2 hours. I promise you they are going to be there when you get done, and you will be able to be more patient with them. You'll be able to be more kind. You'll be able to be a better mother because you took care of yourself. And so I know everybody says love yourself first and all that stuff. I do think you have to love others, but if you take care of yourself for others, that's still another form of humility and love.
That was literally, I was about to say that. It's like kind of like you have to take care of yourself so that you can give your best to
100%
other people.
Yep. But anyway,
as opposed to tearing yourself down.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to make other people feel better or whatever the
yeah, exactly.
Is.
Yeah.
In there, bro.
100%.
Yep. All right, Andrewski.
Cool. Yeah, just basically how I started was I was learning about real estate when I was 17, doing some stuff with my uncle, doing some courses, other stuff like that, and then basically I watched Dakota and Tony and them on Facebook all the time. Just from word of mouth from my uncle. It was just like, yeah, you know, you want to watch these guys, like these are the guys to watch if you want to learn. And yeah, I started learning, watched like a lot of their webinars that they did at the beginning. And then, yeah, I just remember reaching out to Dakota a couple times on Facebook. It was so funny because when it was like to get added to like the buyers list, I was like, hey man, here's my email. Like, can you add me to this? Like, I thought it was a list for like something like, oh, maybe they'll reach out and like I'll be on it, or just like I wanted to try to keep as much attention as I could. And to like in front of them, but also not just be like, hey, I want a job or anything like that. I didn't really like come to like that. I just, yeah, kind of like what you said, Johnny, just was putting I wasn't going down necessarily the best path. I'd never really worked my whole life. I was 17 years old, so I'm just like, dude, I wanted change. So the first step was going out there with my uncle and just really practicing and learning real estate and reading books and not, you know, doing other crap I was doing with friends or whatever. So that was the first step. And then once I started getting around him, he really started leading me in the right direction. Then that led up to PSI seminar. That was when Tony and Dakota were going to bring it for the first time, or that whole crew. And then, yeah, he got on the phone. My uncle talked to Tony. He was like, what's all this about and all this? And he just bought it that night. And I'm grateful for him investing in me to get me up there, because I wouldn't have gone up there. I wouldn't have gotten up there anyway else if that didn't happen. Or if I didn't make the decision to go out there and start learning, I wouldn't have ever even knew that there was going to be this seminar. So, and it was funny, too, after we started the seminar, I was about to not go to the seminar because I was already like overthinking it and just going into programs and just, I don't want to sit here for 3 days and just be in all this stuff. Like, I want to have fun. I want to do this. I want to do that. Like, I was just reckless. So I was like on the fence, and he was like, if you don't go, like, you have to pay me back.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, you have to pay me back what it was. So I was about to go to like this football thing over PSI. And so I was like, all right, I'll go.
Decision.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I'll go, because I'm not going to be able to pay you back. So then,
Like, I'm doing it.
yeah, I went. I remember the first time I saw Dakota. Dakota was like the main one I was always like paying, like that had my attention, because I could just relate through the phone. Or you're like, you see somebody that you look up to or whatever you see, and you're like, oh dang, like I want to be like this. Or you just think of different things. So I remember seeing Dakota and Tony in person for the first time. Thought that was unreal. I thought I was around superstars.
You thought he was around millionaires?
Famous people. I just remember Dakota being on the phone, like he was talking about a property that they were. I just remember I was like, dang, like these guys are, like I was just very intimidated by the environment. And then yeah, after the seminar, basically got through that, went back to, I was working at a trailer factory, worked at Rural King had a job, probably between both those jobs, it was 3 months total of like from both of them. Then yeah, remember Dakota called me out of the blue, and yeah, told him on the phone so much that he's not going to regret it and all this other stuff. And I was so grateful and everything. And yeah, just my emotions were, I didn't know what to think. And then yeah, I just had to convince my mom and them to let me, like, hey, I'm quitting my job literally tomorrow and going here. And yeah, then I went up here first, met with everybody, met with Dakota and them, and then that next day I went into the factory, quit, and from there just start hammering it. So yeah, the biggest difference is, yeah, I would just say just how small we were. I mean, when I look at it now, I realized, like, probably within like the second year in and everything like that, I didn't really know at first, but like I had to remind myself and like see that like, hey, this is still a startup company. Like we're literally like when I started, it was obviously only me and like, we had an assistant and stuff, but it's like this is a growing company. Like this isn't already like I didn't realize at the time like we were already like I already thought they were doing 10s 20s of houses and all that other stuff, and I wasn't really sure. So then the biggest difference for me is just I'm super grateful to see most of every single step, honestly, of when we really started growing and all the different business growths and phases. That's the biggest difference is like I remember when we were stressing out because we were seeing Dakota need to find $1 million of private money because we had our first $1 million of properties under contract. Like just so many different phases of this business to get to where it's at now. And it's like we're still growing and everything like that. But I look at when I started and Tony and them were obviously already, Dakota and them were building and buying rentals and doing some flips. But from when I started and as we went on, it was like, this is literally just like the beginning of like what greatness could be or what you see Alex Hormozy and them doing, what you see already like Pinedas or all this other stuff. It's like they already were starting, or when I would have came in, maybe they're already doing. So we really got to be here since the beginning, or I have at least in a way, and it's just been super cool seeing everybody come in, all the new people. I really think just the difference in me and Dakota's relationship, even just from how it started to just now. In a positive way. Just everything here is completely different for me.
Who was here when you started?
Me.
Ryan wasn't even here.
Yeah, Ryan wasn't.
He was working as a contractor.
Yeah, me, Allie, Jacinda, and then like the contractors would come in the morning for like the meetings. But it was only us three really, and I was the only guy besides Dakota. So it was me and Dakota, and then 2 girls.
That's so.
That's so
crazy, man. Because it feels like the biggest thing that's changed since you started to now is literally you. Like seeing how much you've changed.
Yeah, I would say. I'm trying to like think a bunch of different things, but really just me. I've changed a lot and gone through a lot of different things, and just from the beginning. I mean, honestly, too, like Dakota, just who was at the core, really helped me grow up. Really taught me a lot of life lessons. Like I feel like I started taking that next chapter of life once I got here and started getting some results and wasn't going to get fired or anything like that. So
I would say I got the first text or the first message I just found that says, "Hey, it's Andrew Etcherson, Joel Copo's nephew. I'm learning and being mentored by him about learning real estate. If I can help you in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out." I'm like, awesome. It's a great thing to get into young for sure. And he's like, great. Thank you, man. And then
he got nervous.
Great. Yeah, then he said, hey, Dakota, just saw you post on that property you're trying to wholesale. I was wondering if you could add me to the email list for properties. This will be my Facebook DM. Haha. And I was like, gotcha. I was like, that was an example of one that we did wholesale for a fee of $6,000. We don't have any that we're wholesaling right now. He's like, okay, got it. Thank you. Do you need my email?
Early closer. Yeah. Always end with the question.
Yeah, he's like, do you need my email or?
That's awesome.
It's so
awesome
funny too. I didn't really realize. I probably honestly from a younger age already was kind of like a salesperson or just like my background or demeanor, but I just never really knew what it was. So I think that started just with dirt bike racing and other stuff. I mean, but I had to learn a lot of hard lessons since being here about just like myself, my emotions, who I am, how I show up to the whole team. Like now that it's really grown and other stuff like that, that's been the biggest test for me and was the biggest test. Was just because I was just used to me and Dakota and like a couple others, and I'd go to him for everything, and we were so much smaller, things were different. So I just really had to learn and grow up as a person too, like down the road of being here for a long time and other stuff that who I never knew was going to pop up. So just super grateful for the journey and just super excited for where we're going. I mean, a lot of people know. I mean, we're doing a lot of deals. We're doing big things. But just so much has changed. I mean, I could just go on and on, but it's been a big change here. Yeah.
The biggest thing that I look at, especially with acquisitions people, but just in general, that I look at whenever I'm hiring people is effort. How much effort are you going to put in? Not talent. Like talent is like something like that a lot of people place a lot of value in, and we were talking about this before the podcast, but they put it in talent. They put it in smarts. They put it in this other stuff. I don't give a crap about how talented you are if you're not going to use it. I don't care how smart you are if you're not going to use it. And I see a lot of people with so much potential, and then they decide to waste it because I don't even know why. It's like, It could be humility. It could be they're scared to make other people feel a certain way. But I want to see effort all the time. And, like, that is literally it. You could be not good at it, and we are going to just continue to shape, mold, put you where you need to go. But effort is required in everything, especially around me. Like, I'm not the most talented guy, but I will 1,000% input the most effort. Like, I don't think you will find somebody who will put in more effort than I will to learn, to push, to grow, to, like, do this stuff. Like, I will put in so much freaking effort, and I will look stupid doing it. Like, I've looked really dumb. Like, if you ever see me play basketball, bro, it's ugly. But I get that freaking ball in the hoop, you know? Like, I do find a way to do it, and, like, my layup, my legs are up, and I'm like, but dude, the ball goes in there, and like I'll make it happen. But it looks ugly. Yeah. But I will put in a lot of effort. But that's what we look for, and that's something that Andrew was willing to give. Is like he didn't know anything. We're just like, all right, dude, come in, text some people, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, because I had no sales experience. I mean, I just read a couple books, and I was doing some Ty Lopez real estate courses, and then I remember my uncle telling me in the wintertime, like, oh, it's always slow in the winter, so, you know, don't get your hopes up too much with other stuff. So then I started, like, watching Ty Lopez courses on, like, drop shipping and e-commerce and all that. And, so I was going different directions. And then after that, it kind of, once PSI started happening and all that, it was kind of like, I was learning still, but it kind of just started going slower because I didn't really know how to get a deal. I didn't know some of that stuff. I see the videos, but then when we got up here, he was just like, yeah, it's sink or swim. Like, you're sink or swim. And yeah, I don't think I thought that there was a guarantee, but I didn't really know that until a couple weeks after, where he's like, yeah, it's kind of just sink or swim. You know, you either know if you got it or don't, and you'll know in like the first week or two or 30 days. And yeah, I just went hard. I had no experience. And then the opportunity of being able, when it was small, I was able to sit across Bailey's desk every day with my laptop, and I'd text, and just anytime I had any troubles or different stuff, then I'd ask him. And then eventually, to get away from asking him, then I started making quick replies and stuff. So every single time I'd see that message, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to say this to it. And then, so extremely grateful for, I feel like my skill set and where I'm at now, that was a huge part at the beginning, really having that one-on-one time and him just devoting a lot of his time to transfer his skills and abilities and what he learned, and be able to give me the best of what you've done with your career and life. So
Andrew was the first. Andrew was the only one that ever got direct like training from me. Whereas like Luis got a little bit, but like Andrew was the only one who was like with me all the time, hearing it
together
like day after day after day. To where like I feel like I got ingrained in everything that you talked about, said, how you talk to people is like
it really did. Yeah, because like when I started going on appointments, even like going on appointments, I mean I was let off pretty early. I mean I was there for. I was June 2021.
6 months, right?
Yeah, it was like 6 months, and then Dakota's like, all right, I think you're good. You start going to points because we started growing different things. So that's what I realized too for even other hires at the beginning is I had to like really step up to take off like the appointments and stuff because Dakota and them were just they were doing everything obviously. So I always felt a pressure of like needing to step up to really take off that thing. So I remember just I was trying to prepare myself as fast as possible to just get on the appointments by myself. But I just came that day is like you're going and doing it. And then like I remember the first appointment I went on and like probably like the first 5 or 6 I locked up like right there. The first one I went on by myself I got. And yeah, so there was that pressure on my back of like, all right, if we're gonna keep doing this, like I gotta keep putting in the work and go do these things too and be open, not just be like, well, I'm learning this. I'm scared. Can you come with me on this appointment still?
Yeah, saying that pressure is interesting because that's what I mean by sink or swim. You're going to find out who you are when you got that pressure because all that I can do for anybody is provide an opportunity. Yeah. So I can give an opportunity, but when you feel that, what are you going to do? Because some people under pressure, they will freeze, and that's fine. You know, it's not very effective. That's fine. You can do whatever you want. You probably won't be a salesperson, and you won't probably work with us because, like, we're under high pressure. But when you're high pressure and you start to take more action, then you know that you might have something.
Yeah, 100%. And I always, like, this was my own thing, but I always just had a fear of, like, getting fired or, like, different stuff like that. So I, like, because at the beginning it was just like, because, like, it was just me, too. So I put a lot of pressure on myself because I'm like, there's not other, I mean, Dakota could always come in and close deals or whatever we needed, but there wasn't other sales guys, like, bringing in other deals. It was just solely on me. So I always put a lot of pressure on myself, and I excelled in that pressure and used it for good.
Yeah, I remember. What did you asked me one time? Like, what would I? You were always asking me, what would I have to do to get fired?
Yeah.
Like, what?
You're like, that's a good question. I've never like, what would you have to do to get fired? And then we start thinking of that stuff. But I just put a lot of like unspoken things or thoughts that I thought other people might have thought. I put it into my own thing, and yeah, I that was one thing. I always had my toe, like my toes, or how would you say? I was always on my toes. Not that it was an expectation or anybody. It was just my own observation
and
what
pressure on yourself.
Yeah, and I probably could have saved a lot of emotions and stress and other stuff not doing it. But yeah, I feel like it helped get me to here now.
Because the pressure, what is it? The pressure makes the diamond. So some amount of that pressure was needed. Maybe not all of it, but you certainly. It seems like overpressure. This kind of ties into something from his book, but like if you overpressurize something and then like if it implodes for a second, the beauty of being a person is that even if I put myself under too much pressure and then I collapse and break, it's not actually over. Like I'm not a glass vase where it's like once you're broken, you're broken. It's like I'm a person, so I'm able to recover. I can become anti-fragile. Yeah. And so I think that for you, maybe you did overpressure yourself and maybe you did put yourself through too much. But the beauty is you didn't die from it, and now you're growing from it, and you have become stronger from it. Whereas if you had put less pressure on yourself, maybe you would be softer.
Or I wouldn't even be here, because like that. My biggest thing was just like I was the only salesperson, so there wasn't another salesperson to like go off of like skill or how good they are, if they're producing right.
If there's no deals coming in.
There was no gauge, so like it was always like even if I had 3 or 5, that was the thing, is that always felt like such a little number to me. So I always wanted to like keep pushing for more. I remember when I could first send 1,000 texts, like just send like 100 or 200, and I remember I was like, you can send 1,000 texts on here. Start doing that, and I just think like some of this, I did a lot of work outside of here too at the very beginning, and for honestly probably at least like a year and a half, just so the first 6 months too especially, but I just did a lot of work because I was still going to school and everything else like that, so like the time I was able to spend up at LTD wasn't as much. So after school, I was just texting off my laptop and stuff like that and doing a lot of work outside. That one on Felician that we got, like I had texted that guy at like 8 p.m. We got that one like at night, and it was like still doing it. So I did just do a lot of stuff outside of here, script a lot of stuff too, to kind of, when I did come in then we could take a next step, or then I could like actually, so I mean, Dakota just really led me really well and was a good coach, leader, everything, and it's really shaped me to this point today. So it's really a lot of what I have to say about that.
Yeah, I'll say it's very similar to me in car sales too. I was doing so much outside of the dealership that even while I was there, I was afraid.
Dive into that, because we've gotten through us three. So talk a little bit about what
how you started
and
what's different now.
Oh man, so I started off at the dealership, and then I was putting in a massive amount of hours, but then also outside of it, it took over my entire life, which I wouldn't necessarily say is the best thing all the way. I think that I didn't really feel the pressure. I honestly, I didn't feel pressure in car sales. I was like, I think I'm gonna do this, but I felt it wasn't a fear of loss. It was a more towards the gain. I was like, all right, here's where I'm going. And I think that's a way more positive of an energy. Instead of trying to avoid anything, always think about what you're going towards instead. Like, I'm not feeling happy. How am I going to... Well, what would you need to do? Like, where are you going? What do you want? Instead of thinking about what you're not feeling, think about where you want to go instead of, focusing on it. But anyway... I did that a lot. And so I was also reading books outside of the dealership. I was working out. I was always listening to podcasts when I'm driving. But I've always was a very conservative person. So, dude, I remember I was driving this freaking beater truck, had no heater or AC, and I was driving that even while I was making $80,000 a year. So I've always been super conservative with my money, which I think is very important, especially for anybody who's going to accumulate some wealth. But anyway, once I started making a decent amount of money, that was when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which was a book that Tony recommended. And so after he recommended that book, I'm like, dang, that book changed everything for me. And so, I started talking about how wealth is not about the amount of money that you make, which growing up poor, I always thought that's how it was. It's about how much money you have and the time. So you have to have both in order to really be wealthy. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. And honestly, now it's evolved even past that. But that's what I thought at that time was time and money is wealth. I would say now it's not just time and money. I think it's going to be relationships, my spirituality, my health. Like I need all of it, because if you have time and money and you're in the hospital, you got a lot of time, but man, you're not going to be very great. Or, let's just say you're super healthy, but you got time and money, but you have nobody around you. Your life's probably not going to be that great. And so it's really like wealth to me is the accumulation of absolutely everything, which I think is the most difficult part. But anyway, back to where we were. Once I read that book, I started just diving in, bigger pockets, learning, reading even more for about 2 years straight. Then Logan reached out to me. He's like, all right, dude, I want to flip. You seem like you're good at sales. You ever thought about flipping houses? I'm like, yep, definitely thought about it. I've been reading about it for a long time. So I was like, but if I'm going to do it, I really want Tony to be involved. And so, because he's the one who introduced me to the book. And so got Tony involved. And then we bought our first house in the hood. And everybody was really scared, really nervous. But we did it, flipped it, made I think like 6,000, 7,000 or something. So we split it 3 ways. It was a small win, but yeah, we did it. And then after that, we got 3 rentals. We just bought 3 right after that. It was one actually that we just sold, Pittsburgh, Reed. It was actually 2 on Pittsburgh and 1 on Reed. And we just sold Reed, and I got Pittsburgh under contract right now. So it's just crazy starting to sell them, because this was back in 2018. So it's just nuts.
That's crazy.
So 7 years ago, which is crazy, 7.5 years ago, really.
And 3 years from when you started till you hired.
Yeah. 100%, yeah, because we still never had anybody. I was still working at the dealership. So I'm working at the dealership, taking phone calls on the side, just doing whatever I can to make all this happen. Calls for cars, calls for houses, and then I was using my income in order to refinance these properties and get rentals. So we got up to maybe 20, 25 rentals, and then we joined Ryan Pineda's program, and he told us dude, you got to start building a team and flipping. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. So I left my job in April, I think it was April of 21 or 22.
I think it was 21.
Was it 21?
I think so.
It was around. I don't remember that. I just remember being on the live.
Well, if you messaged me on...
It's got to be 21.
Well, Andrew messaged me January of 21.
Yeah, that was 2021. And I came on June 2021. End of June.
You did? Okay, so yeah, it must have been.
It was around April you did, I believe.
So yeah, I left my job April of 21, and I left the job for a couple different reasons. One, I felt like I couldn't do the best that I possibly could anymore, and I felt like I was actually holding the company back. But then the other thing was the banks were also not refinancing me out anymore based on my income, because I was making 6 figures and I didn't have a whole lot of debt. But eventually you get so many rentals, they're like, bro, your debt is so high that your job is not making this up anymore. So anyway, they kind of maxed me out on how many loans. I was like, well, what do I need the job for now? And so I made the jump, and then I started working from home. I was like, well, this sucks. Allie, I hired an assistant, and she was coming over to my house, and I'm like, this is weird. She's coming in and just, all right. And then I'm like, hey, I got to go. And it just felt really awkward. And so I'm like, I need an office. Or I didn't say I said we need an office. And then Tony's like, we're not getting an office. That'd be dumb. It's another expense. We got to keep expenses low. He didn't even want to hire anybody either. But I'm like, all right, dude, well, if you don't want it, I'm going to buy one myself, and I'm just going to put it in my name then. And he's like, all right, we'll do it. And that's kind of how I convinced Tony to do everything, because he didn't want to hire anybody. Anytime we ever went to hire anybody, he's like, no.
In a way, he was more conservative than you.
In a way, yeah. It depends on which way you look at it. But yes, I'm pretty conservative, but I'm willing to take a risk if I play it out and I think it's going to go where I would say I'm a little bit more optimistic. But Tony's grown a lot in that sense. He's definitely a lot more optimistic than he used to be. But I made it a point to be like, I'm going to show you that this is going to work. And so that's kind of nice that I have people that doubt me, because it kind of pushes me more. I'm like, oh, you don't think it's going to work out? All right, I'm going to make sure it works out now. So got the office in 21, actually. We got that thing for $155. Yeah. And that was... So that was listed with an agent, and then the agent didn't show up to the listing appointment or to just show it, because it's been listed for a year. And I got to talk to the owner directly. And if I'm talking to somebody, there's a good chance I'm going to get a deal, because I would like to think that I'm a pretty likable person, and I have a lot of logic that I can bring to the table to be like, here's the reasons of why I want to do this and why I think we should both do it. Obviously, I'm a salesperson now. I've learned a lot of skills along the way. So anyway, negotiated that 155. We remodeled the whole thing real fast. We were only in one little section of it. And I was watching Grant Cardone's Undercover Billionaire, and he started hiring people to start off. And I was like, all right, that's what we need to do. We got to hire people. And then he just gave him a little slice of the company. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. Why don't we just like give people a cut? That way, like, now they're invested in it. And so then that was like, all right, let's call Andrew. And well,
I did all that.
First we're like, well, I was like, man, we just need to hire somebody. He's like, well, it turns like, who? I'm like, I don't know. I met this one kid at a seminar. I'm like, I think he might work out. Like, he's messaged me. He seems interested. And so I just like randomly thought of somebody, and then it was like, all right, well, we'll try Andrew out. And then he started. I'm like, I've always had the mentality, especially for acquisitions guys, it's sink or swim. And so like when I was in sales, dude, they just brought you in and you either have it or you don't, and you don't know who's going to have it. So I'm like, let's see if Andrew's got it. And he was one of the first ones we brought in. And we brought in multiple other people that didn't work out. But yeah, that's basically how it started growing. So once he started getting deals consistently, now we had to start building the back end. So then I started like doing the TC, building the back end, doing the books, and then we started building that side up. Then Luis came in, and then that started going that one because like Andrew.
I was there because I was the only sales guy, or it was just me, Ryan. We would have had Mosley then, and then I think just that because we didn't bring we brought like Luis and Seabrum and Raylene. That was all kind of, they were a little bit before Luis, but it was all around the same time. But I was the only sales guy from when I got hired till the end of 2022 until Luis came.
Yep.
And then I was competing against you guys, still smacking all the 4 sales guys at MA. But yeah, no, that was the coolest part. Was just I was the only sole guy, and like I was still like that motivated even more. We were crushing. I was crushing so hard, but yeah, I was the only salesperson. That's why I guess I felt the pressure because like the business was growing because like we were getting results. I was getting deals. It was going, but it was just like I'm the only one. Like and I loved it because I'm freaking like I'm making money and all this. Like it's great. Like it was awesome at then, but I didn't. It was creating like Dakota said a bunch of stuff on the back end, and then that's when we started. Then it really started taking off.
Yeah, what I found, and I think it's important for people, especially anybody who's listening, who's thinking about building a company, is again put yourself in a position to succeed and to get to where you want to go. And so by Andrew coming in, what it forced me to do was figure out how to make money on more deals than what I would have. If it was just me, I'd be like, F it, this isn't a deal. So I remember his first deal was a piece of crap. And we fought and clawed and negotiated with freaking debtors for this person. Like, man, it was a struggle. And we made $3,000. I'm like, I would have never done that. Well, not
you literally kind of said that too. You're like, I don't know if I ever would have done that. Like if you were.
Yeah, but because he was there and I wanted to help him get a commission and show him what was possible, then I feel more pressure for me to do what I need to do in order for him to succeed. And so if that's there, if that relationship is there where both people are showing up and they both are putting in the same amount of effort that other people achieve the results, that's a very good relationship to be in my opinion. So like as long as both people are showing up, then that's basically what makes us get to where we're at is like pressure and like an obligation almost to the other people. And like that's kind of what I feel, and what I feel like we created is accountability. But also it's like, dude, if you don't show up, you're hurting the team. Yeah. You are literally hurting the team if you're not showing up the way that you need to. And so like that's super important for us and something that was super important for me. And like honestly, even now as a leader, it's like I have to show up, which is why I made certain decisions I made even today, because I got to show up as a leader for what's best, not just for me. Dude, if it's just for me, I promise you, I don't think I'm a little bit more lax. Like, I have a lot of patience. I seem like a confrontational person. I avoid conflict sometimes. I avoid hard conversations. But when there's other people, like goes back to the humility thing. When I know that this is going to affect other people negatively and it's my decision and I'm hurting other people because I don't want to be uncomfortable, now I'm willing to put myself in that uncomfortable spot where I'm like, nah, I'm going to do what's hard because I care about you guys enough that I don't care how people feel about me because I got to show up for you guys. So, yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's really good. I like that.
It's hard.
I would say too, some of the stuff maybe in the beginning that we had, that like we definitely, now that you say that, we had that connection or that dynamic there. But I was to say too, like really at the beginning too. I mean, like nobody else really, like even the assistants that we had at the time, they weren't really at the office. I mean, it was really just like daily. You were there daily, and I was there daily. Like just sending them would pop around, but like daily, like just in there moving things, making it happen. We were just in there daily, like both of us. I mean, I definitely spent the most time with you with everything. So, but again, like Jacinda, not really. They were running and doing stuff typically, so we were just in there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said after that, after we did that one deal, because I remember we did the one deal, and you're like, dude, just wait, like the next deal, like, or when we got those, when I got the Auburn.
Oh, the one at Sprott.
Yeah, that was when I made like $1,600 or like a little over $2,000. Then when I got, you're like, dude, I told you, like that's. And then Bailey was building and helping build my confidence to actually like make me show. And I had like my ego is freaking way worse than like what I've got to now, but like it was just like, so because I was always the type of person where it's like, let me prove you, like I'm gonna prove you wrong, or like I always wanted to like crush people, because like when I raced dirt bikes, like crush them, like I was always on top. So I had to learn a lot with that, which has been great. But yeah, just like after I got that deal, it's just like I when Dakota gave me confidence, it gave me more certainty with already how I would think about myself, to be like, all right, go freaking like do it. And it just started building up. And then once it started building up, I was just like, no one can touch me. Like I'm just closing deals and all that. And then I had Dakota, like as a salesperson in the role of acquisitions, Dakota's really helped me. Just like, I feel like I've gone through all the different phases when you're pissed off and you can't control yourself, and you're like so many different phases I've gotten to get like, honestly, like the expert's advice. And what he did, and just all that learning. So I don't think if I knew a lot of all that stuff, like it would be very difficult. So like I am really grateful for that, because I got to kind of see it from all other angles before going into it. So I was already kind of equipped or prepared a little bit. But yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I would just say like overall, just to bring everything together, I feel like the biggest difference from then to now is just the people we are now. I would say 100%. So. We are running low on time, so we'll go with the outro. I think next time we're going to talk about how to keep that camaraderie, because, dude, this place is so giant. So if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a comment. We'll talk about the comments next time, and thanks for your time. See you later.
Adios.
Peace.